The Dusk Guard, Rise. By Viking ZX. Operation. Prologue. Luna didn't look up from her painting as the door to her personal study opened. Only one pony was ever permitted into her study without knocking or her receiving some sort of notification from her guard. She knew who was walking in without even turning to look. "Hello, Tia," she said as her brush slid across the canvas with practiced ease. "You're awake early. Come to say good morning." Her sister laughed, a small, soft sound that was almost swallowed up by the comfortable confines of Luna's study. "In part, yes," Celestia said, stepping up to the canvas and taking a look. "But also to hear what you had to say about the Dusk Guard's success last night." Luna sighed inwardly and set the brush down on her palette, taking care to make sure that the bristles did not lay improperly or touch the wrong paints. Now was the true test of what she had assembled. Would her sister approve of the actions the Dusk Guard had taken, or would she be alarmed? "I assume that you have read the reports?" Luna asked her, checking the small clock on her mantle. It was almost time for the moon to set. Celestia let out another small laugh. "More than that, dear sister." Her horn lit up and she unfolded one of her wings, a newspaper floating out from under it. "I read it in the paper as well." "They do work quickly these days," Luna said, taking the paper from her sister and opening it across her desk. The front page was dominated by an enormous fuzzy black and white picture of what looked an awful lot like a diamond dog. The headline over the picture read "Mysterious Monster Attack on Railway" with the tagline "Further Troubles for the Equestrian Rail Service." "Oh dear," Luna said as she ran her eyes over the article. "I was hoping that they would manage to get everything out before the news showed up." "Not in this day and age, sister," Celestia said, shaking her head. "News ponies are more determined than ever to get a story. Take for example, the side story on page 7. Luna, done scanning the article, which appeared to be little more than conjecture based on interviews with those who had witnessed the event thanks to the guard's quick response, flipped a few pages in. "Curious," Luna said as she saw the large headline. "New Mystery Guard," the headline asked, next to a sketch of what one of her night guards might have looked like if they had been in a comic book. She ran her eyes over the article. "Not bad," she said at last, refolding the paper and passing it back to Celestia. "They did their research, although I must say I'm disappointed at their choice of art. They could have at least found a picture of Captain Song. It would not have been difficult." "You don't seem too perturbed, sister," Celestia said. "I'm not," Luna said, turning back to her painting but looking at her sister. "Are you?" "Well," Celestia offered, sitting back on her haunches, "they did end up creating a sensationalist story that ended up on the front pages. Of them stopping one of the thieves. Which I must say I found quite interesting, just from the look I got at it." Luna mused. "It reminded me of some of its Papalotl spiders." Celestia shuddered at the memory of the ancient immortal. "Ugh, don't remind me of those things. They still appear in my nightmares sometimes." "Similar only, dear sister," Luna said. "I am very certain that these golems, as the team called them, are simply a product of minds having similar ideas. Its Papalotl is gone for good. Awitsodal saw to that. Besides, nothing she created would be caught robbing trains." "Yes," Celestia said, nodding, "she never would have set her sights so low." She blinked as if caught in a memory, and Luna checked the clock again. 7 minutes until the moon was going to need its final adjustment for the night. "So, my original question, Tia," Luna said, shaking her sister from the memory. "Are you concerned?" "I have mixed feelings about it," Celestia said, looking at Luna's newest painting. "On the one hoof, it seems as if they've succeeded at what they were established to do, but," she tilted her head and turned back towards Luna, "I cannot help but fear that it will send the wrong message to those around us. We are a peaceful country, Luna, we cannot afford to crack that image." Luna thought for a moment. "I believe I can address that problem, Tia." You're right. I will make a public announcement about the Dusk Guard tomorrow. Celestia nodded, but Luna could see that something else was still troubling her. Sister, she said, stepping forward and wrapping her wing around her Celestia's shoulders. What else is bothering you? Celestia sighed and hung her head slightly. I had a letter from the railway board waiting for me when I awoke. Golden Spike wished to inform me he specifically did not mention you that he is only 2 votes away from being able to force us to sell our controlling share in the railway. Luna gritted her teeth at the unwelcome, but not unexpected, news. And who are the remaining 2 holdouts? She asked, trying to keep herself calm. Mint and Radiant, Celestia said. Apparently they still trust us to see the railway out of the difficulties that the company is finding itself in. However, I feel that they are not happy with the northern expansion either. Luna sighed. We will work through this, sister. There must be some steps that we can take to ensure that even if we lose control of the railway, the northern rail will still be completed in time. Celestia shook her head. I do not know, but it is certainly worth looking into. Have you made any progress with the crystal? Now it was Luna's turn to shake her head. All I have discovered so far is that the seal is indeed weakening. The Crystal Empire will be upon us in less than half a year at the most, sister. She pulled her wing in tighter. Do not fear, Tia, she soothed. We will ensure that the Crystal Empire is saved. After all, she said with a faint smile. We have the elements of harmony, who have defeated discord and restored me to who I was. We have Cadance and Captain Armor, who have both been prepared for their own roles, albeit however unknowingly. But when the time arrives, sister, even if the railway is not complete, we will find a way to put every pony in position regardless. Luna said, holding her sister close. We will not fail them again. I promise. She let out a small laugh. Even if that means we have a house built in the north for Cadance and Captain Armor to stay in, and teleport the elements there ourselves. Celestia smiled at her sister's comment. I suppose you're right, Luna. There are other ways. As long as they are restored. She looked at Luna's painting once more, staring at the ribbons of color that caressed the canvas. Although I still hope that your guard find whoever is at the root of these problems with the railway. Our guard, Tia. Luna said, correcting her sister as she stepped forward and lifted her brush once more. Only 4 minutes to go now. The Dusk Guard is shared. You are just as responsible for our successes as I am. She paused as her brush moved against the canvas. Speaking of which, have you visited their barracks yet? She tilted her head just enough to see her sister shake her head. You should, Tia. I believe you would be most impressed. I should see about getting a tour, Celestia said, watching as the image on the canvas came to life under Luna's skillful brush. I also wish to warn them about some of the research their engineer is conducting. About the crystalline armor? Luna asked, frowning as her brush threatened to turn itself on its side. I already asked her to keep her theories and her work secret. Celestia laughed, a welcome sound after the brief bout of melancholy she'd shown a few moments earlier. No, about conducting some of her experiments somewhere a bit further from the castle. One of the gardeners let slip that an experiment of hers apparently burned a hedge to the ground. Luna cocked an eye in her sister's direction, paintbrush temporarily frozen against the canvas, in addition to making a small crater when it landed. I don't know if Captain Song ever found out. From what I overheard, that filly's as good at sliding out of trouble during an accident as she is at building things. She does appear to be a hooful, Luna admitted, brush resuming its motions and putting the finishing touches on her painting. And she isn't the only one on the team who's proven more. She paused as she made a final touch with her brush, interesting than initially expected. Oh? Celestia asked as Luna carefully began to rinse her brush. Nova, the young colt that you requested Steel add to the team, Luna said. Celestia cocked an eyebrow. You had some idea of his potential. A bit, Celestia said. It was the cutie mark that convinced me. As it did me, sister, Luna said, checking the clock. 1 minute to go. I must ensure the moon sets, Tia. Will I see you at breakfast? Always, Luna, Celestia said, giving her sister a small hug. And I must say, I love the painting. Luna smiled as she returned the hug. Thank you. I think I will make a gift of it to Cadance and Captain Armor. She grinned as Celestia broke into a full laugh. And ponies say that I'm the trickster, Celestia said, turning for the door. See you at breakfast, Lulu. Luna smiled as her sister walked out the door and took one last look at the newly completed painting before heading for the door, her royal duties to attend to. Behind her the canvas was filled, a single, crystalline tower lit by rainbows of colored light stretching into a starry sky. Author's note. At long last, we begin the long-awaited Part 3. The final prologue, done. Well, the final prologue for Rise, anyhow. Still. We've arrived at last. Questions will be answered. Questions will be raised. And then those ones will be answered. And seriously awesome stuff is gonna go down. And I really enjoyed these scenes with a less guarded Luna and her sister. I had quite a bit of fun writing Luna. You're going to see more of her being awesome, even incidental awesome, before Rise is over. She was way too much fun to write to not let her have some fun. Even given that I'm building a character for her, it was far too fun to not use. Oh, also, follow my page if you'd like to get updates on things like pre-reader offers, Q&A sessions, or other little tidbits, like background lore. Such as the new Q&A bonus blog. That's right, if you haven't caught it yet, it's time for a little Q&A session on the Dusk Guard. Just hit up the blog here and ask away. End author's note.